Greetings friends, my name is Pavostan and now we will dive into the top news of this day. As I said last week, the Russians have a new tradition in May. Attack Ukraine almost every night. During last of the Russians fired up to 40 Ha-101, Ha-555 cruise missiles from 9 Tu-95 MS strategic aircraft from the Caspian Sea area. In addition, the enemy attacked Ukraine with the northern and southern directions with 35 Shahed UAVs. 37 cruise missiles, 29 kamikaze drones and 1 reconnaissance drone were destroyed this night over our territory, according to the commander of the Air Force. I would like to note that the day before that Russians made the biggest attack with the help of attack drones. 54 Shaheds were launched on Sunday night. 52 of them were shot down by our air defense forces. Someone can say that the efficiency is not 100%, but the territory of our country is not small either. It is difficult to cover all of it with air defense forces. But where our defenses of the sky work, ideally, is near the capital. For 3 days, from Saturday till now, none of the enemy-launched Shaheds and shells hit the target. However, today the Russians used a new tactic. If rockets were usually launched at night, Monday began with unexpected shelling in the morning. They launched 11 ballistic missiles, but still all of them were shot down by our air defense forces. The only thing is that they scared people, especially children. Now, ordinary Russian citizens are very glad in social networks about this video and write happy comments under it. Yes, Russians like that. They fight in order to instill fear in school children. But as I said, all the missiles over the capital were shot down, although several buildings and road surfaces were damaged. It is not for nothing. We will rebuild the roads, houses and the country. The main thing now is to defeat the enemy on the entire civilized world. And we will achieve it, sooner or later. Support for Ukraine in repelling Russian aggression remains stable, especially in American society, despite the fact that the war unleashed by Russia has been going on for 15 months. This is evidenced by published data from a public opinion poll conducted by the School of Public Policy at the University of Chicago and research organization NORC. According to this data, about 7 out of 10 respondents consider Russia's actions in Ukraine to be without any justification, and more than a half of those surveyed believe that only Russia is committing war crimes during this conflict. Moreover, the poll showed that 77% have a negative attitude towards Vladimir Putin, but at the same time many have a positive attitude towards Russians and Russian culture. From the very beginning of this conflict, one of the things that surprised all outside observers was how well the refugees were treated. Moreover, in those countries that were not at all famous for their desire to accept refugees in recent years, the Baltic states, Poland, Germany and the United States, they welcomed Ukrainian refugees with open arms, especially in Germany and Poland. This is due to several factors. Firstly, the Russian aggression, because unlike the refugees who fled the civil war in Syria, or the refugees from the Mexican drug cartels, or the refugees who flee poverty in Guatemala, aircraft are visible there, rocket attacks, people with children are being saved. This, of course, greatly simplifies acceptance. And what pleases us, there are no signs of fatigue regarding support for Ukraine.
The Russian armed forces are no longer able to advance further. They have tried very hard over the past few months and over the winter, but they are not organized. They cannot take and stand in position. They have poor training, poor equipment, poor leadership, poor command, poor control, poor coordination. At the same time, Ukraine troops are well trained, well equipped, integrated and under strong command. This will play a decisive role in the coming months as Ukraine moves forward. I don't know how far Ukraine will advance in this counteroffensive when it starts, but that's not the only thing. Ukraine's struggle will go on and on. Kurt Volker, United States Special Representative for Ukraine Negotiation 2017-2019, in an interview with RBK Ukraine.
And now in the Kremlin, they feed Putin with the fact that something will change in 2024 after the presidential elections. These are all fairy tales from the same place as Kyiv in 3 days. Now, even if as there is a Republican majority, even if a Republican becomes president of the United States, support for Ukraine will continue at about the same level. I believe to this. As long as Russian military aggression continues, there is no sign this support is waning. Concrete anti-tank barriers on the beach line, anti-tank ditches along a major highway. An analysis of satellite imagery by BBC Verify shows the massive defenses Russia is building in preparation for Ukraine's counteroffensive. Since October, Russia has been actively digging trenches and creating other defensive structures at once in several key areas of the occupied territories. But the main vulnerability of the new fortifications is that Russia lacks the military to control them. Despite the fact that Russian troops have launched large-scale engineering construction of defense lines in the occupied territories and in the border regions of Russia, it will be difficult for them to hold them, believes the Austrian military analyst Thomas Steiner. For the offensive, Ukraine has formed about 20 new brigades. This grouping is comparable in strength to 6 to 8 mechanized or tank divisions of NATO countries. Steiner clarifies that according to NATO charters, in order to stop the breakthrough of so many divisions on the front of 30 kilometers, it is necessary to have 45,000 people in 3 defensive lines, or almost 2,000 soldiers per kilometer. In addition, a reverse of 36,000 people is required in case the enemy still manages to make a breakthrough. Therefore, now the length of the front line is more likely to play into the hands of Ukraine. Former Ukrainian Defense Minister Andriy Zagorodnyuk told the Financial Times. According to him, Russian troops will be dispersed along the entire defensive line, and the armed forces of Ukraine will always be able to find a weak spot in it. It has long been known that fixed defense lines are vulnerable, as the experience of the Second World War showed. The lines can be bypassed or broken through, after which their garrisons have to retreat under the threat of encirclement. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for future videos. Subscribe to UATV English and goodbye.